Good morning, friends. It is New Year's Eve, Tuesday morning, and it's about 35 degrees. Got the animals fed, had breakfast, and now I'm gonna do some miscellaneous farm chores today. First thing I wanted to do was I've got this little raspberry bed here that needs to be clipped back and trimmed, and I need to get some compost and things put in here, so I'm going to take care of that first. These raspberries have really sharp, tiny little thorns on them, and each year I just kind of cut these back so that they can produce new growth in the coming spring. There's also a tree that has come up. Maybe a squirrel has planted something in there for us that doesn't belong. So I'm going to try to get that out as well. The last few days I've just kind of been reflecting over what we've been able to do and accomplish in 2019. It was a good year. We've taken some good trips. We went to Homesteaders of America, and we've been to Homesteading Life Conference. Had a really good time and learned a lot at both of those. Gotta get rid of these. If you've been watching our videos, you know that a lot of this fall and winter for our market garden, we haven't been planting, but we have been concentrating on the soil and getting our soil in better condition. And so far, it's doing pretty well. We have tilled and added mulch, and been moving the chickens around different areas on it. So I'm pretty happy with the way it's going so far. Those are trimmed back pretty well. I don't know, this looks like maybe a hackberry tree. Yep, that's an old hackberry tree that's in there. I don't know if I can pull it out. Cut it off a couple times last summer. These things are just really tough trees. They come up all over the place. I may have to dig this guy out. Get some big old roots in there. Just holding on tight. Well, there's another little one right there. Well, these little raspberry, the thorns on them are just so tiny. They grab and stick on everything. Goodness, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull him out of there or not. But if I broke a few of the roots, I could get it out. May have to get a shovel and break more of the roots out of here. I think I will. So on our trip to Hannibal for the Homesteading Life Conference, we were also able to take a side trip to visit one of our favorite YouTube channels. Those guys are near Ava, Missouri, and we met them at a little farmer's market that's Living Traditions Homestead. Really good people. Enjoyed visiting and meeting with them at the little farmer's market there. And while we were at the Homesteading Life Conference, man, we made some really new, lots of new friends. A few people that we really hit it off with and have stayed in contact with since we've been there. So that's been fun. Both at the Homesteading Life Conference and at the Homesteaders of America, we've gotten to meet lots of our favorite YouTube channel celebrities, if you want to call them that, but just really good folks, and just truly enjoyed getting to meet, talk with some of the people that have inspired us to do our market gardens and farm and pursue the homesteading lifestyle. So, all right, I got both of those guys out. So I think I'm going to get some. I've got a couple bags of pine shavings and pine needles. I'm going to go ahead and put over this, and then we're going to add some mulch and get these raspberries ready for spring. So things like the blueberries, I don't know if you can see those, but they're right next to us there. And raspberries prefer a bit of an acidic soil, so adding pine needles and an azalea food are good fertilizers for them. And the pine needles, my parents saved these for us off their pine trees, and so we try to add them to these beds and break them down, and they create some mulch and help prevent some of the weeds and things from coming up. This bed over here is actually full of blackberries and one little blueberry plant, but made a mistake, kind of a mistake. It hasn't seemed to hurt them too much, but blackberries don't really like that much of an acidic soil. So it may have been a bit of a mistake putting some of this mulch in the blackberries, but like I said, so far it hasn't seemed to hurt them or cause them any harm. I don't know if I'm going to put any more in there. There's quite a bit in there from last year, but I probably will add some additional compost over the top of these, sort of top dress these beds and get them ready for the spring. A few of the sticks will come up through here, but the rest of these raspberries will poke their little heads right out through there when they're ready. You may be able to see here, I also have one of the things I got done this year was between all of our raised beds, over the past years we've had mulch, just wood chips and mulch and things that we would put in these between all of these beds to keep the weeds down. And it worked for a while, but still had weeds and things coming up. So to make it a little easier to maintain, I put all of this weed fabric down. It is a commercial weed fabric, and so far I'm really liking it. It's doing a great job of keeping things neater and cleaner, and making our making our walkways and paths and things between all this much better. So, one of the projects that got done this year that I've been wanting to do. We'll put this in here rather loosely and kind of spread it out a little bit. And we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna top dress this with some compost. I fertilized it just the other day with an azalea food because these do, the raspberries do like a little bit more acidic soil. So, all right, that looks like that's enough for them. I may put some more on the blueberries next to me there. So, but for right now, all I need to do is get the compost put on top of that. So these are the blueberry plants. I'm just gonna put some of the pine shavings on, pine needles on these guys. Like I said, they do enjoy a more acidic soil, and the pine needles help with that. It's also just a good mulch to keep the moisture in and keep the weeds and stuff down. You may want to try to come up in there. So we'll just spread this bag out in these blueberries. They say, I've been told you can't grow blueberries in our area, but these bushes are about, I don't know, I'm guessing 5 years old or so now, and they give us a nice crop of blueberries each year. I think the key to growing wherever you are is trying to learn or understand a little bit more about what the plant requirements are, and if you want to grow something, then you're just going to have to make that investment of time and energy to find out what soil conditions and nutrients those particular plants want. Now here we have, you've seen our other videos this year, we've been fighting to create some good garden soils in our market garden because our black clay soil here is just, it's like concrete, and it is so hard. And blueberries really don't like that. So we brought in some more sandy soil and put in amendments and things that the blueberries would like. I'd almost killed these in the beginning, actually, trying to get the amendments of the soil, pH, and all those things right, because I was trying to get the acidity up in the soil, so I put in a lot of, way too much, sulfur, trying to increase the pH. But when I realized that the plants were not happy, I dug them up again and took a lot of that out and just kind of redid the soil to get some of that sulfur out. It's just too much for them. But so far, they've been really happy the last few years. Like I said, they really do enjoy getting good crops of blueberries off these guys. I don't have it on right now, but I do have a irrigation system that keeps all of these plants and things watered in this garden. This is actually our kitchen garden I'm in right now. This is where we grow a lot of the food that we eat for ourselves. The irrigation system is the soakers and things in this bed. We've got a good combination of soakers and sprayers and other things in the other ones, but don't really need it in the winter, so it is turned off, that way it won't freeze. All right, that's that. Now we need some compost. All right, so this is the compost pile here in our kitchen garden. And this bed, this one right here covered with the tarp is pretty much done. I'm going to sift some of this out and use this to top dress some of these beds. On this bed of asparagus, I've already put a little bit on that guy, but you can see behind me, this is the compost from this winter. Some debris out of chicken coops and garden cleanup things and vegetable materials out of the house. So that's the new one. This is the one that's been going since last summer. And we keep a thermometer. Hopefully you can see that. We keep a thermometer in there so we can kind of tell when it needs to be turned. You know, when it gets out of this green section where it's cooking or heating up because of the microorganisms, it's either time to use it because it's ready or time to turn it. So we like to keep a thermometer in there, and we test out in the market garden as well. Some of those compost keep thermometers in there to see what's going on. But really handy, work really well. I'm going to just stick that guy out of my way for a minute so I can get the tarp on the top of it. Even though this is really pretty well broken down, there's still going to be some larger things in there that didn't break down, so I still like to sift it. And to do that, you just take the wheelbarrow, and I have two different sizes here. And for the top dressing, I'm just going to use this 1/2 inch. Just 2x4s, screwed together about the size of a wheelbarrow, and hardware cloth. That's a 1/2 inch hardware cloth in there. So I'm actually getting a little warm. I'm going to take my gloves off for a minute and grab my shovel, and we'll start sifting this. So you can see, hopefully you can see, I'll get you a better shot, a better close-up of this compost material in just a minute. But there's a little bit of firewood ash, but I don't put much in, maybe just a bucket or so a year. See, I get some big clumps like that that don't want to come apart or break down. So we'll just put a little bit of it on there at a time, and we'll sift it. Let me show you what that looks like a little bit better. So hopefully I can fix this up where you can see what I got going on here. Anyway, this is the compost. I just shoveled it on there, and so you can see it is absolutely gorgeous. Very nutrient rich soil. A few clumps and things in here. Again, I'll just take those out and put them in the other compost pile. That will help inoculate that one. So then I'll just rake it back and forth over this screen. So you see, even in the winter, there's plenty of things to do in and for your garden soils. So, you know, the days start out, sometimes it's just cold all day, but there is always plenty to do if you're a gardener, even in the winter months. So I just rake this back and forth across the screen until I get most of the soil parts, and the larger parts stay up here, and the larger parts will simply go back in that compost and continue to break down. The parts that we're just not happy with the level of decomposition yet, but you see it just takes a minute to go through the soil, through the compost, and get everything that you want out. And then when you're happy with it, you can take that and we just dump it on on there. And so it goes back in. So after being sifted, it's nice and loose. Still has some small, real small wood pieces in there, and it really needs that. But yeah, just beautiful, beautiful black, loose soil. So I'm going to sift some more of this and get it ready to go out on the beds. Alright, so I've got that nice wheelbarrow full of beautiful compost, and I'm going to just put some of that directly over this these pine needles, and top dress this bed so it'll be nice and ready to go in the spring. Got the trees that were coming up, I got those guys out. The soil is just beautiful. So I've kept these beds in our kitchen garden covered the last few nights. It has been well below freezing, so I'm going to pull these covers off. I do need to harvest some lettuce and things. We are out of lettuce in the house, so I'm going to pull this cover off. See if I can get some lettuce for the house. So I've got these plastic hoops over the top, and then I just use these large clips to hold the plastic down on the ends, and then the smaller ones I use along the sides. In this particular one, we end up with some water in a little trench next to it. Just need to lift it up and pull that back. So we have Rocky Top lettuce, we have escarole, we have another salad mix, we have, and even some spinach. So I'm going to pull this cover off and get some lettuce so we can enjoy some nice salads. This is a really sunny, pretty day. Warming up. It's probably about 45 now in the sun, and there's no wind today, so it's really warming up nicely. Plants will enjoy having some extra sun. So with a little bit of effort, you can grow your greens even through the winter. So you can see I just have this PVC hoop. This one's kind of leaning, it's a couple of years old, but we can straighten it up. This the PVC, I believe these are 8-foot pieces and then a 10-foot piece down the length of the bed. And this is just some old greenhouse cover, the greenhouse plastic, and I just cut it to fit these two beds. So I'm going to get something to harvest some of this and take it in. And you can see here this lettuce I harvested for Thanksgiving right here last week. And so now I'm going to take some off of there, get a little bit of this escarole, pick some spinach. That bed over there is looking really good. And then the down on the end, on that other end down there, there is, oh my goodness, what is it? Arugula, just a lot of it. So the way I harvest the lettuce, I just bring out something to catch it in. I just grab each of these, just use a serrated knife, and cut it off close to the ground. Now, this is probably the third harvest off of this, and you just do it a little bit at a time, so I have enough salad greens for my wife and I for a day or two. I like this rocky top with all the different colors. Escarole grows like a head, and what it's been doing is kind of just the same thing. This is probably the second or third harvest. So I will just get down there where I can see it and cut that right off. So yeah, I just cut it off, but this will all produce. It'll come back and give us some more. Spinach I do the same way. Of course, this has got a little bit of brown on the edges of a few of the leaves. Just, I guess maybe it has also gotten frozen here and there. So, but as we cut it, it also just comes back again and again. So this is the second bed we keep in the kitchen garden this winter. There are carrots and turnips and some wild arugula. Pretty day again. I'm going to open this up and let it get some direct sun. And check out the plants and see how they're doing. Will freeze again tonight, so before the end of the day I'll come back out and cover them up, probably around 3 o'clock. That way they can absorb a little bit of heat before we put them to bed. So you can see we've got carrots, and those guys are looking really good, but they are not quite ready. They're still the carrots are pretty small. But I do see we've got a lot of turnips in here. They're just beautiful, and really have grown to love these guys. Man, these turnips are just wonderful. So I'm going to pull a few of these we can eat this week. And there are some small ones next to them, so unfortunately I pulled one up. But turnips are easy to store, they keep well, and good winter crop. But there's just a lot of them in here. So you see those absolutely beautiful turnips. But a couple of small ones here I pulled up by accident. They're just a little crowded, but very nice. Very happy with those in a winter garden. Alright, so one of our other projects I'm going to start on today, or keep working on anyway. We had an asparagus bed that we planted right here, and the grass had taken it over through last season. So we had these concrete blocks that we were using for the border. So my wife helped me. If you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you probably saw some clips of us working on this last week. But today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the tarps, those two new tarps that are there, and I'm going to create this bed, the new asparagus bed, right along that space right there. So get them moved, and so that's my project for this afternoon.
I'll fall down when you're mine, I get up and you're a stranger. Out of sight, out of mind, no wanting to surrender. We put up a good fight for before it ever starts.
Alright, for anybody that hasn't seen asparagus crowns before, these are asparagus crowns. These are the ones that we dug up where the grass was taking them over. We've pulled as much of the grass out of them as possible, and that's what asparagus crowns look like. So when they begin to come out, these are the shoots. These are the past season shoots. So this is up. So we'll plant these in a bed like this. So I just finished planting about 25 in this bed. So I got all those blocks moved, got a nice layer of leaves down in the bottom for a mat and as mulch, and then planted the asparagus crowns. I've got a couple, you can see where the heads are sticking up, like right here. So I'm going to get one more load of compost to go over the top of those, and then I've got plenty of those crowns, so I'm going to move those irrigation lines and continue putting another bed down there. I have to skip this little spot right there because I have a grapevine that grows there, and we're going to keep him right where he's at. He's happy. So I'm going to move those things out of the way and continue putting down more asparagus.